In the mid-2010s, we saw progress of a fan-made recreation of Resident Evil 2 called Resident Evil 2 Reborn. These videos were pretty popular and got people excited to revisit the beloved story of Leon Kennedy and Claire Redfield fighting for their lives in the Raccoon City Police Department. One problem, it was over-the-shoulder camera like Resident Evil 4 through 6, and not the classic fixed camera of the original game. While an over-the-shoulder view allows for precision aiming and much more intense action, the cinematic art style of the original is lost. But hey, it was a fan project, so sure, let them do whatever they want. A version of RE2 that plays more like RE4 sounds like a fun idea. Well, this mod got shut down by Capcom, as they went forward with their own plans to remake RE2, and they brought along some of the people involved in the fan remake to help out. To what degree, I don't know. So the RE2 remake became an official company project, and we waited a few years to see what it would be like. And when it was revealed, I was disappointed. I, like many old school fans, was hoping they would preserve the cinematic camera style of the original games, because for nearly 2 decades we were dealing with the absence of GameCube sequel remakes. The original Resident Evil in 1996 was remade for the GameCube in 2002. It's still considered by many to be the best remake of all time, and by many Resident Evil fans to be the best Resident Evil. The facelift given to the original was stunning, and with the HD remaster, you can look at this 2002 survival horror game and still be impressed by how good it looks. And while GameCube remakes of RE2 and RE3 Nemesis were never officially announced, our young hearts were ready to believe that they just had to be on the way. How could they not give the same treatment to the other 2 games? We wanted them so badly. Well, the day never came. The next console generation arrived and there was still no GameCube remake of RE2 or RE3. The RE2 remake we got is, I feel, a masterpiece, but there's always going to be a part of me that mourns for the true remake we never got. That's why it's so exciting to be here today talking about the fan mod project RE2R Classic. This thing has been in development for ages, and now 5 years after the release of RE2 Remake, we can finally play something really close to our imagined GameCube remake. And if you didn't grow up with the classic games, it could be hard to make you see just how much this means to us. Here are a few magazines, of some familiar Resident Evil themed content creators just absolutely gushing over camera angles.
It's the remake everyone wanted! Or, well, everyone over the age of 30, at least.
I love it. I love it. I'm gonna message every Capcom friend that I have, and I'm gonna be like, look at this. Please. Do a big update.
Take it slow. Much more intense. You can see him there just waiting. Oh, God.
Whoa! We got artsy with this one. Alright. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Oh my god, it's the fucking camera angle! Sorry guys, it's just so exciting. I am in Resident Evil heaven right now. Oh, the Dutch angle? The Dutch angle, chat room? Oh my god. Oh my god. You just saw my brain in real time go, oh, this is so impressive. And then get blown into the fucking stratosphere just now. Oh my god.
I guess you would say it feels more like you're playing a movie this way. I always loved fixed camera angles. Man, this is so impressive. Massive shout out to the mod developers.
Jesus. Oh my god, I almost just choked. I almost just choked seeing this camera angle. Oh my god, the zombie eating the dead body down there is so perfectly framed. I love it.
I can't believe how, like, it doesn't even look, like, bad in any way. It doesn't look like a mod. It just looks like a mode.
It's like a dream come true for me, I'm not gonna lie. The original Resident Evil 2 is my favorite game of all time, and I love fixed camera angles. That's cool.
It's important. Copy that. I'll be right there.
That's a cool shot right there, too.
And I think that's what was so cool about classic survival horror games was, like, you get to see your entire character for the whole game, you know? So you actually, like, identify with them on every level, where I feel like like a degree that has been lost to a degree with like modern games, you know, where it's just like over the shoulder the whole time, if that makes sense. Like seeing Resident Evil 2 remake Leon from this angle is so cool because it's like, oh yeah, that's the guy I'm playing as, you know, like there he is. I want to keep this guy safe.
As survival horror fans, we care extensively about the cinematography of these experiences, just as much as the gameplay. And here there are over 1,700 fixed camera angles from start to finish, covering both campaigns and scenarios. A handful of angles from the originals have been recreated and will be instantly recognizable to fans of the original game. Most rooms have a conventional framing, but at times spaces will be shot from a Dutch angle or something low to the ground. Staircase shots are a particular standout, with the library leading to some well-framed action. Certain angles can provide a new appreciation for some areas as well. I liked seeing this view of the Birkin boss fight area as you're crossing the bridge. Key moments of jump scares are now better executed as players' attention can be focused on the scare point instead of risking them turning away and missing the scare. The first zombie attack in the RPD is framed excellently, with the zombie popping through the window when the camera cuts, and then seeing the zombies coming out from around the corner of the long hallway. The scale of these spaces is much better understood when the camera pulls back to show how small you are in comparison. In 5 years, I never noticed the bloody footprints on the floor of the main hall until I got to this camera angle here. How did I never see this? Oh, I know, it's because there's never a reason to look at the floor. But this new artistic camera has drawn my attention to it, and suddenly I'm noticing the entire floor is covered in these bloody footprints. That's the magic of intentional camera direction. You truly see the world instead of just walking through it. You'll notice corpses pressed up against walls as you walk into the room, your eyes drawn to the shotgun shells in the foreground, and occasionally you'll get a wonderful cinematic shot of a corpse right by the lens as you see yourself walking towards it, and it feels like you're controlling a character in a cutscene, which was always the appeal of the original game's style. It was like you were controlling a well-directed movie. A lot of attention has been paid to making the experience feel authentic and intuitive, though there is an odd angle here and there that I disagree with, like how this angle obscures the chained up door that you need to use the bolt cutters on, and it's pretty awkward to align yourself with the lockers in the weapon room. It's not perfect. I actually found myself enjoying the following style camera much more. You can open the mod to choose from various camera settings, the main two being fixed camera like the classics, and following where the angles follow your movements. I find this works a lot better, leading to less directional confusion and more view of the action, while still preserving a classic cinematic feel. I think 99% of the spaces in the remake lend themselves well to fixed camera or following camera, with the rare exception leading to some confusion, most notably the first boss fight with William Birkin. It's a maze-like area that becomes really tough to navigate when the camera is hopping around. It's made worse by the controls, which can be pretty awkward, especially in high-pressure situations. And before the morons out there say, "Durr, it's fixed camera and tank controls, of course it's awkward." No, this is different, because I can get used to and dominate any game with this style and control. RE2 Remake was not meant to be played like this. Leon has this weird floatiness to his movement. He was not designed to be steered as the camera changes perspective. The mod makers have done their best to try to get him to move right, but it doesn't always work, and the controls end up being the worst part of this experience by far. We've been provided with tank controls and camera-based controls where he'll start moving in the direction you point, but I found either style to be problematic. The tank controls would result in getting stuck running in one direction, barely turning, and sometimes turning would cause me to turn in the other direction, and when I used the more modern controls, it was easier to start going in any direction, but sometimes I would just spin around and run the opposite direction that I was holding once the camera changed. There's a bunch of different settings you can mess with here. I did like 10 different combinations, but nothing ever felt good.
This tank controls feels like what people think tank controls is.
It's kind of a mess sometimes, and it makes this mod hard to recommend to anyone who isn't a die-hard fan of the original games, because this experience feels more like a tour through what could have been, and not exactly a functional game. You need to take it really slow, which is hard to do when you have Mr. X and Lickers following you. But I gotta say, it's nice to be playing a Resident Evil game with a controller again, after so many installments built around player-controlled camera and precision aiming. Thankfully, to combat the wonky controls, you can preserve the non-fixed camera aiming, snapping into over-the-shoulder for precision shots, because that's what the AI was balanced for. It definitely works better than the new aiming system, though I'm glad they tried. It has its moments. I love seeing the carnage from a fixed view. You've got a laser sight that can toggle between targeting head, torso, and legs, but it's not great. It works well enough most of the time, and it has multiple settings to adjust the ease of targeting, but still it's not great. Like the movement controls, Leon wasn't made to function this way, so you'll have to decide how you want to aim in this. I opted for the classic style aiming most of the time, and switched to modern aiming when I needed it. Fighting plants in classic aiming mode is not recommended. I also don't recommend playing this on hardcore because of the controls. Don't play this seriously as an alternate version of RE2 Remake. Play it as a tour through the cinematic camera experience and leave it at that. Despite the flaws, I absolutely recommend this mod to the old school fans, just so you can have that classic experience. The controls are infuriating, but this is something you need to see. And if you're only into the new games, you might enjoy this out of pure curiosity, but I can't recommend it beyond that. The RE1 remake is a much better representation of this kind of gameplay, because, well, it was made that way. To the people who made this mod, thank you. You've done something truly incredible here. My criticisms about the controls aside, you've given the Resident Evil community something special that helps fill the hole in our souls we've been living with for a couple decades now. Thanks a lot for watching. Stay tuned for my upcoming video on the camera of Silent Hill games.